Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique real estate firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing consultants who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my real estate team member, Mary Baker, and I, along with the director of Boston Connect Real Estate, Melissa Wallace, provide you with our unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We like to mix it up sometimes, so not only will you hear our perspective on real estate topics, but you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of some of our real estate agents at Boston Connect Real Estate and the preferred professionals that we trust. Be part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all our South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable, typically with Sharon McNamara, but I am Mary Baker, one of Sharon's team members. And I am joined in studio tonight with the lovely and the OGs, really, OGs.
Absolutely.
Trish and Nick Flynn, team that comprise of Team Flynn here at Boston Connect Real Estate.
Do I count as an OG?
I mean,
Yeah.
when we look at our office forms, actually, our old office forms, it says derived from Nick Flynn's
right.
Word document. So
I do remember
technically,
night one, setting up the computers and having pizza.
Yeah, technically you are OG.
OG. Yeah.
So I am super excited to have you guys in studio, and I think we're going to be talking about just the value of real estate agents. This market is kind of crazy, and this was something I called Trish on Friday, and I vented, and I was like, you know what? I really want to tell people what we do and kind of get on a platform a little bit in a nice way.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of explain so that people know.
Yeah,
I think
I think we're important sometimes.
We are.
Most of the time.
Well, I think real estate's like the least consumer-friendly industry out there.
Yeah, I know. I feel like there's we're like the Wizard of Oz, and there's a big black or like a shroud across us, and nobody knows what happens behind the big curtain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes you don't want to know.
No, absolutely.
It's just all wonderful. Cupcakes and
Butterflies.
butterflies.
Yeah, butterflies and rainbows. But so thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. And oddly enough, they're letting me ride solo today. So Sharon is home resting, as she should be. She's recuperating. She had a little bit of a health thing going on.
Is she doing okay?
Yeah, she's doing good. I'm sure she's listening to us, and you can watch us on Facebook Live. Right now, we're only on Sharon's feed because, oddly enough, I don't have access to all of Sharon's Facebook anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. But we're just on Sharon's Facebook right now, and then we'll get it out to all of the Connect pages. And then, obviously, you can catch us on, you can listen to our podcast later on. We'll publish that tomorrow. And, but Sharon's resting, and then Melissa is at the Bruins game.
Awesome.
So awesome.
Go Bees.
Go Bees.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a Bruins game in like 3 years.
Really?
3 years, I think. I haven't been to like a Red Sox game, a Bruins game, the movies.
The movies.
Same. I haven't done a concert.
Oh, I miss concerts.
As we were coming out of the whole COVID thing, my brother-in-law gave us tickets to the Bruins. He's a couple rows back from the goalie. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I miss it. So I'm hoping she's going to come back with some really awesome photos. I'm going to be stalking her Instagram tonight, but much needed night off for her. So she's in the city having a grand old time. And we're going to.
But you were like a pro. Like we almost were having a catastrophe, and you like. Lickety split, took care of it, and we're in good shape. I was like, Mary, I'm so impressed here. Like,
I'm a little bit more capable than I think I get credit for.
You say radio show, and I start sweating, and then I'm like, I only hear a pulse.
I'm so glad you said that to me before.
I only hear a pulse. Nick, is that your pulse of your headphones?
your heart beating a little bit too fast. Well, we got it. We're good. So again, we're going to be talking about just the value of a real estate agent. Specifically tonight, I think we're going to be talking about buyer's agents. Yeah. And then welcoming any questions or comments or just experiences that you've had with your buyer's agents. So you can feel free to contact George in studio. His number, or the number for the studio, is 781-837-4900. Or again, you can catch us on Facebook. So you can type in your questions there. And then we'll kind of get going.
Awesome.
First and foremost, not that you really need an introduction to our WATD family, but why don't you introduce yourselves? And everybody knows you're an OG, so what areas do you service? What do you do?
I feel like you've been on a lot, so you can go for that.
Yes. So,
it never hurts to have a refresher.
Team Flynn, it's great. You know, I have my husband, partner in life, partner in business, the other half of my brain, and it's been amazing. So.
And you guys have been together doing real estate for 3 years, right?
Yeah. 3 glorious years.
And together a lot longer. You guys were high school sweethearts.
We were high school sweethearts.
Come on, tell a little bit about the grew up in Hanson. I know the whole story.
Hanson. We had a lot of fun in Marshfield during the summers. We went off to college. Nick went to Norwich. I went to St. Mike's. Then we went to California. Nick was in the Marines.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Nick was in the Marines, so like
half the platform of your team, the veteran aspect.
I lived in California. Nick was in Iraq. I was loving life. He was not loving. No, you were. You had a great experience. You miss it.
I absolutely.
Military life is definitely
But being a buyer's agent is just like being in the trenches. Huh?
It really is, you know. A lot of things translate.
I loved when Nick first came onto your team, and you had always told me about how structured he was, but like our limited.
But you had no idea.
Yeah, our limited time together was really at like the office parties and Christmas gatherings and like just like events that we would do throughout the year. And then when I saw you come on the team, and you were so militant and like had a checklist for everything, and you were here at like 5 a.m. before anybody was even awake. Yes. Like, this is amazing. This is going to do wonders.
It is.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's awesome. Like, I love it.
I'm glad you say that, because I didn't know if you were quite prepared. Like, everybody's like, I have fun drinking beers with you, but I don't know if I want you as my boss.
Yeah. But I think there's two very different sides with you, as there are most military men, right? They're very like fun-loving and can have a good time, but at the same time, you get stuff done, right? Like, it's very focused. And then I got a chance to see your office, your at-home office, like via Zoom. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. All of the spreadsheets on the walls.
The dry erase, the calendars.
There's no chance you're forgetting anything, is where I'm getting with that.
We're still human, but yeah.
Give yourself some credit. Like, you're setting the bar.
There's like, those people that have like their desk and it's a complete mess and there's things everywhere, but then you ask them for something and they can just pick it out and they have it.
Yep.
I'm the complete opposite of that.
Me as well. Sharon is actually that person. So she loves to be organized, but sometimes it can be organized chaos, but she knows where everything is. It scatters her brain a little bit, but for me, just forget it. Like, you couldn't ask me. I have one folder right now that's all like a new development that we're doing, and it's been happening so fast that everything's going in there, and I'm like, you want me to find what? What?
But it's there.
It's there. It's here. Give me 2 seconds.
Let me flip right through.
Give me 2 seconds.
Yep.
So I have to work on that right now, but.
No, I think we've been a good team. I thought I was organized.
You guys crushed it.
But Nick is just another level of organized and structured. So it's just, it's getting better, streamlined. Things are more streamlined. And it has to be when there's 2 of us, because when you look at your piles, I know it's there, but he needs to know that it's there too. So
know where to find everything. And you guys killed it last year. So you were at our top producers luncheon for 2022. We did that. Well, for 2021. Yeah. We did that in February. Yeah. So you guys had a great year.
Yeah, Nick didn't get to go because our kid was sick.
Yeah, is that what it was? Yeah.
I was like,
Trish is like, I'll accept the awards for us, and Nick, you go take care of the kids.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good balance, though.
It is. Yeah.
We've been blessed the past 3 years to have great clients and kind of shake out at the top every year, which is nice. And
We don't
give
say
ourselves
it.
a pat on
We
the
don't.
back, and I'll give everybody
Yeah.
that works with us a pat on the back.
And you just had an
Very
awesome
grateful.
event too.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
had so I think your first annual one was going to be at the beginning, right at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
So like March 2020, I think you
Yep.
guys had planned this massive event for all of your past clients and all of your referral partners, all of that, and then it got canceled. So you were just able to kind of re-up and
Yeah.
redo that, which was amazing. I heard the turnout was awesome. I was sad I wasn't able to make it.
Yeah, we had fun.
We had a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
You almost shut the place down,
did.
right?
They
Yeah.
did. They did tell
asked
us
us
it's time to
to
leave.
go. But yeah, it's that time of the year too where there's not a whole lot going on. You're like just right before spring, before everybody's, the weather gets warm and people are out doing things. So we just figured to do a St. Patrick's Day party as a
The Flynn team
great
would do it no other
opportunity,
way.
Of course.
The Flynn team would do it no other way. As I sit next to this beautiful redhead here.
Yes.
Um,
My old name, Patio. It's my old college
oh
name.
yeah, O'Donnell, right?
Yeah, O'Donnell, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I forget that all the time. I'm like, you were born Trish Flynn. What do you
I know.
mean?
I am at that point now. Like, I don't have a maiden name.
Yeah.
But we have,
Yeah.
it's been great. It has been fantastic. And I think, just like
That's
little
awesome.
stuff, I'm just going to say, today is my luckiest day in the world. So, I have my teammate, Nick, and, we have to go put a sign up because our sign guy doesn't travel outside there, the wire.
Oh.
So we're going to go
I
get
love it outside the
The
wire.
wire.
We're going to go get the sign. And so we're strapping it to the top of my car.
That's what you were
And then-
doing.
So we strapped it to the top of the car. I get to the office for the radio show, and I'm like, Nick, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Because any real estate agent, if their phone is not within
Reachable.
length within a minute, they're like, panic attack, panic attack, panic attack. I was literally like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? And I'm like, call it. Where is it? Where is it? It was on the roof of my car. And it made it here.
Thank God.
Not only is it my
Wait.
phone, it is my license. It is every card. It is my life.
Wait a second.
Yes.
It was on the roof of the car from when you picked up the sign to here?
Yeah, with
I
the
thought you
sign.
just put it on there.
No, can you understand? I literally went up and down the stairs 6 times. I'm calling it.
Yeah, I was like,
And I'm
what is
I
she
can hear
doing
it.
on the roof of the car out here?
I was looking under the seat because it was a muffled sound. I'm like, where is it? It's right here. I can't find it.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
gosh.
dear Lord. And I stepped on the side and I was like, it's on the roof of the car.
That's because of this hefty case that you have on here. Michael Kors to the rescue.
I know, seriously. It's my life. So I just feel a lot. It's my lucky day.
You're like,
I
if
need to
nothing
go
else
back
goes
to
right
my-
today, this went right,
I
and we're
know.
good.
Yes,
and we're good.
exactly.
That's
So,
awesome.
I'm feeling
Super aerodynamic. The wind just went right over it.
Very.
I was so panicked.
It could only be your laptop. No, your laptop wouldn't even be as bad as your phone.
wouldn't.
No, it
It
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
You'd be like,
No.
all right, I accept it.
Yeah.
I accept it. I can still do dot loop from my phone.
That's our only battle with real estate. Did you add me to the loop? Did you add me
Oh
to the
my
loop?
gosh.
I'm like, oh crap.
Like,
No,
the
I didn't
loop.
add you to the loop.
Sorry, I'll get to it later. Anyways,
Yeah.
so what I wanted to talk about tonight is just unveiling the shroud, taking the shroud off, and kind of discussing what buyer's agents specifically, and maybe I asked you to come on with me next week, but no pressure, and we can talk about seller's agents. I'm just throwing that out there, everybody. Yeah, Nick's on board.
Yeah.
But what do buyer's agents really do? So what are they bringing to the table? What are they offering you as a buyer client? And I want to go through kind of everything. So from start to finish. And, I have a kind of label laid out here. But I guess my number one thing, and maybe we'll start with everybody's number one, is I think a buyer's agent's role not specifically, or very broadly actually, is to educate and advise.
Yeah.
That's kind of the biggest, because as we're talking about this, we're saying so the general public just doesn't know what they don't know. If you're not in the industry, you don't know how much goes into it. Mm-hmm. So if I can, and we always start with our buyers and you guys have done this from day one. I recently saw your buyer presentation, which was amazing. You have your buyers come into the office before you ever go out with them and educate them on what the process is going to look like for them. So maybe talk about that a little bit, because I think that's huge.
Yeah, I think day one is just, here we are, day one. Welcome to real estate. You don't do this every day.
I do.
I do. And your parents, you get information from your parents and their past experience, but this is a market that just changes so much. And you can't rely on 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago. It's just constantly changing. So you can take that information that you have, but it's kind of irrelevant at certain times.
Yeah. And just to take a step back too, when you're talking about like the buyer presentation and stuff like that, that was all born out of trial and error. And so, we have basically...
And it's evolving, right?
Yeah, and it's, it's close to an hour and a half long at this point. And we usually tell people it's an hour, but it's an hour and a half.
I'll buy you pizza. That's what I say. Like, I'll buy you some pizza.
Hey, yeah, I mean, we, sometimes we have a couple drinks during it. And it depends on
whatever
who
you're going to do to make
is.
comfortable.
Yeah. But yeah, that was born out of just, going into situations where, people didn't necessarily know everything that was involved in it. And we were like, it's just one of those industries, like you said, where it's so important to educate people on what's going on and what's happening at certain points. And even if they don't entirely remember every little detail, they're like, okay, yep, I remember when we sat there for an hour and a half and this was one of the wickets that they hit, and what's going to happen now?
Do you give that out as a PDF? I'm just not sure. Do you give it out as a PDF, as a package for them to take home as well?
Yeah,
yep. They can refer back to it.
They can fall asleep reading it and everything.
I always say when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're like, what did they say an escrow deposit was? You can flip through the book and be like, okay, I feel better.
Right. And I we've created this years and years and years in the making, because I'm like, I wanted to know every step. I don't need to know every step, but I want to know generally what step, and then
what's next.
When it gets real, then it's like
all timeline driven.
Yes, exactly.
And that goes back to the organization thing and stuff. I don't need, like you said, don't need to know every detail, but I want to know the steps. I want to know the timeline. And I think most consumers out there want to know, what the next step
What's
is.
next?
Yeah, nobody wants to be blindsided.
Yeah, nobody wants to look at a house, fall in love with it, and then be like, oh wait,
I can't make an offer?
Can't put an offer in? What do you mean you need $20,000 in 10 days?
We
don't like fire alarms. We like expectations, and then and then you're shooting for it, and that sets you up for success. And in this market, it's so volatile. It's very crazy on the buyer side, and to just be like, okay, these are the general steps we're going to do to get there, and there'll be obstacles and there'll be challenges and there'll be things, but we're here to make it as smooth as possible. But this is what it looks like day one, and that's what it'll look like when we get to the
we don't
end.
know how long it's going to take for us to get there. It could be, you could fall in love with the first house you see, and by a miracle, by some miracle, you could potentially get your first house. I mean, it happened to me once last year, and I was like,
Same.
You guys didn't have to go through everything. Because she was singing my praises, and she's like, Mary, you're the best, and telling everybody about me. And I was like, you're setting the bar way too high for me right now. I'm like, just realistically speaking, you were the exception, not the rule.
Yep.
So you didn't get an opportunity to get jaded.
Yes, exactly.
But
lucky person.
Very, and they're thrilled.
It's funny, we had that happen in Whitman last year, same thing, and it's like you couldn't even communicate to them how lucky they were to get the first property that they looked at.
You're like, this hasn't happened to me in years.
Right.
Years.
Yeah. Never. Never. Yeah.
So education being first and foremost. And then another thing that I was thinking about that's really important, and I think you guys do a really good job about this, and that's why I actually made it my number one, was so when you're doing that education process, so not only just the overview and timeline of what the buying process looks like, you're also assembling kind of their team, right? So maybe they don't have a loan officer that they're familiar with. Mm-hmm. By having that one-on-one conversation with them, potentially what they're looking for and who the best match for a loan officer would be. Yeah. Same thing with an attorney. Everybody's personalities are different. Yes. Everybody's loan products are different. Everybody's lawyering styles are different, and products that they can offer, and price points too. So kind of one thing that I found that I tend to do a lot, and I think you guys do too, is matching people with whom you feel personality is going to click, and it's going to get the deal done, the job done, because that's important today too. Yeah. Let's talk about that, with the loan officers and the attorneys.
That was one of the things that I was most impressed by when I came into this industry and joined on with your team, was just the level of professionalism that your team had and your ability to get things done. Yeah. And I watched other agents and I watched other situations, and it just wasn't quite there.
You're like, what is this firestorm over here? Trish has got it down.
And I would see between the attorney, the lender and you and just bring it all together behind the scenes. Nobody sees any of it, and there's a lot of conversations that are being had, and sometimes it gets contentious, but you guys would bring it together and in a way that always was beneficial
to the client,
to your client, much more beneficial than the other side, which I was like, wow, this is impressive.
And sometimes behind the shroud, right? So your client is none the wiser. That there is all this kind of back end turmoil going on. Because you're not involving them. You're like, I'll let you know when it's time to panic. Do you hear panic in my voice? Don't panic.
Right.
So we're good. But so that's kind of higher level, I guess, aspects of what realtors are doing is they're kind of the team managers. Let's put it that way. Like they're the team managers.
We have this slide. It's so funny.
That's part of our
Did I steal that from your slide? Like, look at me. I have a photographic memory.
Yeah. We have a slide and there's every different
8 million people on
piece of the pie and everybody that's involved in the situation. And I was for the longest time saying, this is like you guys are Bill Belichick and we're like Tom Brady. You guys are the coach. You send us in a direction and we make sure that ball gets down the field and we score a touchdown.
And everybody's doing their job.
That is what adding your husband to your team did for you.
And then that all blew up.
It all blew up. Tom left. Yeah.
Yeah, well, don't even get me started with Tom Brady. I'm so upset with him. I'm sure there's diehard fans who's like, no, he's coming back, and whatever.
Yeah.
He should have retired with us. The past 3 years have just been a firestorm. Let's put it that. Whatever.
He's making a lot of money and having a lot of fun, Sonny.
Well, yeah, throw some money my way. I'll get you a house in Foxborough. You want to come back?
I know.
No? Yeah, I'll help you out. Anyway. But that is, I think, dynamic and... So along with that, I guess you end up being the resource going forward.
Yeah.
Right? The resource for everything.
I feel like, you're always like the point person.
Yeah.
Like a
people
project
will
manager.
ask me, and people will always ask me a question. I'm like, oh, that would be a good question for your lender. Let's ask them. And I'll
and you're
together the email and we'll get you the answer.
Yeah, I'm going to facilitate you finding this information out rather than Googling.
My favorite is when they're like, the attorney's telling me this. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Trust the attorney.
He's the legal expert, not
and
me.
You're like, I didn't go to law school. I preface that. I'm like, so I'll tell you X, Y, and Z, but again, I didn't go to law school for however long, to be a real estate attorney. So maybe let's defer.
Yes.
I'll double check. My favorite thing, I'll double check with a manual. I'll refer to a manual. A manual. I was like, I called him the other day. I go, I'm your most hated real estate agent, aren't I? Because I almost have no boundary. I call him at 6 o'clock and I was like, are you having dinner right now? Are you with your kids? And he's like, no, not yet.
Not yet. I know.
But
that's real estate and that's your team. He's going to take your call at 6 o'clock, and sometimes it's like, it may not be like life or death for us, but for a client trying to purchase a home, it's nerve-wracking and we need that answer. And your attorney's going to answer the phone. The attorney we work with is always going to answer our call. And if he doesn't, it's going to be 5 seconds.
Yeah.
We'll get a call or a text within the hour. Yep, no problem. After hours. Because real estate is 24/7. I want to stop saying that, but it is. It is.
So, and it's funny that you say that because, I think actually over the past couple of years, I've almost seen where it kind of has scaled back a little bit. Just a scenario. I had a client recently who she's not working with a lender that I had referred. And I mean, that to a real estate agent who has such great connections is heartbreaking in and of itself. I was like, oh, please use my people. Yeah. Not that we work well in this, like Sharon says, we work well in the sandbox with everybody.
Right.
But you don't know what you don't know. I don't know how this person operates. So I'll give him a chance. But if things don't go right, please don't blame me.
Right.
But she had said to me, I said, the offer deadline is Sunday at 2. And it was Friday at 6 o'clock that we were seeing this house. We were really quick about it. And she goes, I'm never going to be able to get him to run these numbers for me. It's a Friday night into Saturday. I go, I'm telling you, if your loan officer is not answering their phone on a Saturday, sorry for all the loan officers out there. I'm not throwing you under the bus. But I'm like, if they're not, or they don't have somebody that can pick up for them when they're unavailable, you're not working with the right person.
Right.
Period. Because this is a nights and weekend business more often than it's not.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we do deadlines are deadlines are deadlines. Like, you can't miss it.
And I've had a couple people in the past ask, when you refer, this loan officer or this attorney, do you get kickbacks or something? And that's why you do that. And I'm like, no. You know what it is? I'm like, we work with the people that are going to answer their phone on Sunday. I'm like, that point, that's
100%.
it. That's it.
Yep.
There's no kickbacks. That's nothing. It's just, when you need him and we need him,
also illegal.
He's going to answer the phone.
Yes.
Like, that's also illegal.
Yeah.
So I'll just throw it out there. So if somebody's getting kickbacks, maybe don't sing it from the rooftops.
Right.
No, 100%. Like, it's about educating.
Smooth process.
Educating, assembling your team, and then one thing, so I think this is a misconception here. So as a buyer's agent, how are you searching for houses? So I'm just throwing it out there. Like, what are all the ways? So there's conventional methods and there's non-conventional methods, right? I think a lot of people think that there's a very passive approach to finding their buy, especially in today's market, right? Mm-hmm. That agents take a very passive approach, and I hear this from buyers all the time. And I'm not knocking anybody, but I found the house, I sent it to my agent from Redfin. I found the house, I sent it to my agent from here. Yeah. Or I drove by and I saw the sign. So I think I hear that a lot, but I don't think that it's talked about enough of the other stuff that buyers agents are doing to try and scratch and claw and find inventory where it doesn't exist, especially in a market that we're in right now, like we're in right now.
Yeah, it's like you're looking under every stone, like writing letters to neighborhoods of where people want to live.
It's a little creepy to door knock, but I'm actually not opposed to it in certain neighborhoods.
We've done it.
It doesn't usually turn out well, but we've done it. Yeah.
Nobody wants to answer their door.
You don't want to get like the mom who's trying to that's my biggest fear, is that I'm going to ring somebody's doorbell and they just got their colicky baby to sleep and I wake the baby up. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be.
Your bigger fear should be them releasing the dogs. On you.
And he laughed.
Has that happened?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
That's happened to you?
No, it happened to me.
What?
And he was in the getaway car. I'm like running down the driveway, like, oh my God!
Was there no trespassing signs on the
No. I believe me, I'll respect that.
And we had a client that was like, I specifically want a Cape in Bridgewater, and we were like, we will go to every Cape in Bridgewater and see if they want to sell. I mean, that's
what you did.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
But that's what people don't see. Maybe your buyer who was working with you, because you're like, hey guys, I'm doing this, but that's a non-conventional method of, you're not just sitting around waiting for somebody to get a listing and it pops up and matches your client's criteria. Right. You're out networking, talking to not only the agents in your office, but you've built amazing rapport with other agents in the industry, other colleagues that we work with, so that maybe they come to you first and say, hey, I have this amazing listing that's going to be coming on. Right. You're sending letters, you're potentially door knocking, and maybe take some treats with you next time.
Oh my, I could not believe it. But and then we're, working with a builder and trying to create the inventory and like the land searches, the land searches and digesting that information and trying to, make something out of nothing is something we've been working very hard at.
You've been doing a lot of that lately, actually. A lot of new build stuff.
Yeah. I think the three of us all have. Yeah.
Yeah. I have somebody who wants to come in and pitch a loan product, which actually seems really amazing. So I'll tell you guys about that afterwards. I don't want to give too much out because then I want to do a show on it. But it's really interesting product right now. So I kind of love, that's just a little side note, that our industry seems to be adapting across the board, seems to be adapting with low inventory market and high and rising interest rates. Yeah. So I think the mortgage community is really trying to do everything that they can to make sure that buyers don't entirely get pushed out of these markets. Yeah. That's another show for another time. I'll get off my soapbox right now. So that's how you're searching for properties, right?
Yeah. And
how many houses do you go see today?
Oh, today?
Today.
Well, not today because we have Buffini. But yesterday we were at like 4.
Yes.
So.
But for one buyer.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we just had buyers and like, we've looked at a lot of houses. I'm like,
no, you haven't.
You've looked at 6 houses. Mm-hmm. You're not at a lot yet.
Yeah. So you're going with your clients to you're either setting up private appointments for them, when if at all possible.
If you can get in.
And or being one of 100 waiting for an open house.
Right.
But you're attending these open houses with them, and you're also educating them through that process, right? So what to look for when you're walking through a house.
Well, that's the thing. Like sometimes like our first-time home buyers, like young people just entering the market, never owned a home. You don't know what you don't know. And I mean, Nick and I bought our first home, we renovated it, and then we built a new home. So we've like seen like
And you've also been in
cost.
real estate for almost 15 years. You specific 13? 13?
Yeah. And
I add 2 to everything.
I know. He adds 1. And I'm always like 5 less.
Yeah,
like,
she's like, don't make me feel that old.
Yeah, I was actually walking around telling people I was 34. I'm like, I'm not. I just turned 32.
Oh, nice.
So I'm telling you, you're 34. My goodness.
Because my brain, it's gone.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, right. Aging myself. Anyway.
Yes. But just, in this market where there's like emotions are like extreme right now, like we talk to people and we're like, okay, here's your pros and cons, but I don't support, like if they wanted to buy a house, I'd be like, okay, I don't really support your decision here. Like you're gonna outgrow it. You're buying at the height of your market, and I don't want you to be stuck with this and hate this. Like Nick and I work by referral. Like we're not on billboards. We're not doing that. Like we want you to have such a great experience that you tell everybody, and that's how we make our living. And so, seeing a young couple and being like, it's a 2-bedroom, and I'm like, you guys get married. And literally at the end of the conversation, I'm like, how many kids you want? 4. I'm like, forget this house, forget it. No,
But that's
do it.
advising people. So advising your buyers on what is not the easy decision, because the easy decision is like, oh, I looked at this house, it's cool, yeah, it's great, it meets all of my lower level boxes, but now you're like, let's think about the future, right? It's not playing devil's advocate, and it's not a negative thing. Right. It's let's really figure out if this is going to make sense for you. Yeah. And I think now more than ever, as a buyer's agent in the market that we're currently in, if you're not advising your clients to be looking at things from a long-term perspective, you're 1,000% doing a disservice.
Yeah. Agreed. And one of the tidbits my mother always gave me was, get the big picture. Driving a car, get the big picture. It's like, it's a huge investment. Get the big picture. Yeah. Like, you don't want to be trapped in a house that, when the market swings and you 3 kids, you have 3 kids and you're potentially underwater and now you're stuck. Like, I don't want anybody to ever feel stuck.
Yeah. No, that's not a good feeling.
No.
Happened to my sister. It happened to a
lot of people.
It happened to my sister back in, she bought in 2008. Yep. And actually, maybe she bought in 2006. She bought in 2006 and went to try and sell in 2009, and they didn't sell until 2019.
Yeah,
because that's how long it took.
Yeah,
right.
Yep.
I mean, different market. We're not crashing. We're not in a bubble, people.
We're not.
It's not happening. We're not going anywhere. Like, if you tell me you're going to wait for the market to crash, or like that you want to just throw your hands up, I'm not about it anymore. It's not going to happen.
It's not
either.
And it's been like you snooze, you lose. Like now interest rates are higher.
100%. All those people, and it sounds terrible, but all those people who had that false mentality of, hey, I'm going to wait for the market to crash because like these prices are insane.
Right.
Now, notoriously, when interest rates rise, markets go down, level out, or prices go down. That's not happening this year. There's such a demand for inventory, it's just not happening.
Right.
No.
Again, part of the education process for our buyers. But so we should have done an hour and a half long show on this, honestly. One thing that I really wanted to touch on is the strategizing in your offers.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly.
So right now, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right now.
So I mean, everybody knows. Every buyer's agent should be educating you. Every buyer's agent should be taking you to look at houses. They should be, helping you out with.
They should be able to do a complete offer. Know how to.
That's
write
harder
an
than you
offer.
think. No, I'm kidding.
And it like sometimes you're like, oh, these agents have like offer instructions, and that's to like help people
to a T.
To a T.
If you're not following that to a T,
they're just bottom of the pile.
Do you know how many offers I get without pre-approval letters?
And that's like madness. Like you would be, and you as the buyer, you don't even know that your agent's not necessarily doing this and getting your pre-approval over. Like,
yeah, like
the cleaner it is, the easier it is. One PDF, it's all here.
I'll present it to you.
That it just,
when
you're up against 20 other offers.
But
it needs to have all the T's crossed, I's dotted. Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. Well, so that, of course, I hit the microphone. This is where I think this is the first real portion besides the second. Education is first for me.
Yes.
This is where I think an agent can really shine. Because if you know your stuff, so there's so many things that go, especially in the South Shore. I mean, sellers installing a new septic system, or a septic system failed. What's going on with it?
Right.
How are you talking your buyer through that?
Right.
How are you setting the expectation on timeline for a new septic system?
What time of year is it?
If you have a rate lock in, you might need to extend that, and we need to know day 1, not day 45, when everybody's scrambling, and now, you have to come up with extra money to extend.
Yeah, and in today's market, I feel like something like that, a buyer would be like, oh, I don't even care. Just like they're gonna install it, right? They're like why even bother with making the offer muddied with contingencies? Well, okay, what's the pro and con of what you're about to waive, right? Or so another one is use and occupancies. Yeah. This is huge right now. Mm-hmm. What are the conditions around a use and occupancy? So just talk about a use and occupancy real quick and just kind of what that entails.
So the seller sells their home, but they need to, the buyer.
No, seller sells their home. Buyer is basically
moving in early.
Landlord, yeah.
So,
but not.
Right. So there's no tenancy agreement, right? It's just the ability to stay in the property.
Right.
And for that, they are getting the buyer is getting a lump sum typically to cover whatever their mortgage would be for the period of time that the seller is occupying it. But I think there's a lot of things that go into that too.
Yeah.
Like for
so you're talking like a lease back or like just a use
lease back.
All right, because
you were thinking like day of closing, use and occupancy.
Yeah, use and occupancy, and I'm like,
a
buyer can move their stuff in, but they're not moving themselves in, or they are. Okay.
No, but haven't you been seeing it? Like seller requests. So
yes,
here's a huge thing in offers. What day does the seller want to close? So I'm a buyer's agent. I'm calling the listing agent. What day does the seller want to close?
Right.
Okay, what terms do they need? Do they need a use and occupancy? My guys will give it to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Do they want it for free?
Right.
That's a huge one. How long do they want?
Mm-hmm. Are they going to get out at the end?
Yeah. What's a suitable housing contingency?
Right. What are you signing up for? Do you know that in 45 days when they still don't find anything, you're just going to keep extending and giving them more time? These buyers need to know what they're signing, what they're agreeing to.
And it's your job as the agent to be explaining these things at length.
Right.
I think.
Because they're only losing time in the market if they've locked into something, they've spent money, home inspection, if they even had one of those, and their appraisal and all that, they're moving forward trying to purchase a home that some seller still doesn't know if they want to leave yet.
Jump into home inspection, right? So there's so many buyers out there right now that are. I'll try to do it quickly.
We'll do it quick.
But there's so many buyers out there that are considering waiving home inspection. It happens all the time when we're on the listing side. It happens all the time. We don't ever advise a buyer does that. Instead, let us advocate for you. Let us talk to the listing agent and get past that. There's always this stigma and this, nobody quite understands what a home inspection for information purposes only means. As buyer's agents, we're going to call the listing agent and explain exactly what that means. And
make it as clear as possible.
Right. And if it takes some additional negotiation, before we've even gotten to the home inspection, we're already negotiating about the home inspection.
100%.
You know what I mean? It's weird times.
It is
weird
very
times,
strange.
but it's important. It's important to have a buyer's agent that's savvy enough to understand that piece of the market. And if you're going to bill yourself as someone who is going to represent people and say, I'm not going to tell you to waive a home inspection, you better be prepared to advocate for them to a listing agent.
Right.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
So just as a scenario, I'll just say this super quick. I was up against 20 offers. There was a property, my buyers just lost out on it. And I mean, they're through the rat race. They really are. And you're feeling the tension. It's starting to get very frustrating. 20 offers. They put in an amazing offer. They didn't waive. They did info-only home inspection, and I had a long conversation with the agent. I know her very well. But we were up against 13 So out of 20 offers, 13 escalation clauses, 12 waived home inspections, 6 waived mortgage contingencies and waived appraisal or appraisal gaps, and 1 cash offer. Think about that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
To my buyers, and she said we narrowed it down to the top 5. I was like, we probably weren't even in the top 10 if you had all of those.
Right.
Because I don't advise to waive home inspection. We did info only, and the same thing, you advocate for them.
Yep.
In 11 years, I've never waived a mortgage contingency, and somebody's going to have to give me a really compelling argument to do it, truthfully.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money that people have on the line.
Yeah. Properties are going for $1 million now. 5% of $1 million?
Yeah.
$50,000? You kidding me?
That's a lot of money. It's a lot
We used to see deposits be like $10,000.
$1,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's people's life savings right now.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, I don't know. I always tell people I sleep at night. I sleep well at night because I know I'm always trying to do the best for my client, and I never want to put
That's all you
in
can do, though.
tough situation.
Yeah, and it's great, like being like you kind of tie the education piece into like your buyer's flavor, and like you kind of like where they're, where are you willing to walk away? You know what I mean? Like put your best foot forward, and
how risk averse are you?
Yeah, exactly. And you got to kind of feel that out. And some people are much more risky than others, and it's it's interesting, and it's also powerful as a buyer's agent when you've kind of like synergized to that level where okay, I know that
this is what we got to do
as far as they'll go.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that.
I
We've all bought houses too, and so we've been in the same shoes before, and you can only take it so far, and I try to reassure them that they will find the right house.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take some time.
I've started to stop doing like everything happens for a reason.
Right.
Even though I still do believe it in some circumstance, I'm like, okay, now I can see that everything kind of happens for a reason. But for me, I'm like, it's going to happen when it happens. Like, we're going to just find the right puzzle piece, and it's not happening for whatever reason. Somebody wanted it more. Somebody did something crazy. Like, it didn't work out this time.
Right. And that's what we always say. It's like it's business. It's business till we hand you the keys.
Yeah.
You just have to try not to get on that emotional roller coaster. But this is very stressful. It is very emotional. But we're like, it's business till you get the keys. And then you can tell me that you love this home so very much.
Yeah, don't fall in love. You got a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have to get this part in, especially with the three of us in one room together. Buyer's agency with new construction. Okay? It's a super controversial topic. I'm going to preface this by saying my dad was a builder. I have a very good friend who's a builder who built our house, da-da-da-da-da. If you are buying a home and you're going new construction and you want a buyer's agent, you need to bring them with you. You can't 100%. And there's probably going to be contractors calling up and yelling at me, but you have to bring your buyer's agent to the first meeting and have them involved with the entire process. The three of us are all very well versed in new construction.
Yes.
And we can help you along the way. And that's where I think buyer's agency is so important.
Yes.
Yet that's where we get left behind so many times.
That is the most perfect opportunity for a buyer's agent to be an advocate for their client. And if you're missing out on that opportunity, and we didn't talk about it, but you're not paying for a buyer's agent. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
If you're missing out on that opportunity, you're making a mistake. Just you need a buyer's agent, especially the new construction process. 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months.
Not 45 days. 30 days. It's almost a year.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I like that you brought up that topic, and I think having a buyer's agent doesn't hurt you. No. It really doesn't. I think a lot of people think if I go direct to the builder, I'm going to get a better deal. Who knows? Truthfully, like if you're going direct to a builder and there's no listing agent involved, potentially. But you have...
It could also explode.
It could also explode, and you have nobody, unless you were like a former real estate agent or you have something that gives you some type of or knowledge, then you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And I just think it's silly to take on such a huge purchase without somebody having your back.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
with that, I can't believe how quickly the show has gone, actually. I know I'm going to hear our outro music pretty soon, but thank you guys so much for joining us. And I really do want to do another show. And I think it would be awesome because there's so many things that we didn't touch upon. But give out your contact information for everybody so that they want to get in touch with the Flynn team and have you help them through new construction, resale, be a buyer's agent. They know how to get in touch with you.
You can call me at 781-223-3286 or email me at tflynn@bostonconnect.com.
Or even Team Flynn at bostonconnect.com.
Oh, you guys are so cute there. I loved that. And of course, you can always call Boston Connect Real Estate and we'll get you in touch with them. So thanks, everybody, and have a great night.